Good afternoon. Thanks for joining the session. I'm Raghav Mathur, a solution director and an offering manager for intelligent automation solutions at Prolifix. Today, we'll dig into the world of digital workers and some of the challenges that we see in the adoption of digital workers and RPA at different organizations. With the economic headwinds that organizations are facing today, hyperautomation has become a more prominent solution to ensure higher customer satisfaction, operations optimization, and better compliant processes for lowering the risks. Of the various technologies that are used to achieve hyperautomation, RPA is at the forefront due to its simplicity and short implementation cycles. But with all these capabilities comes the challenges. With a lack of predefined business outcomes that you want to achieve as part of your RPA rollout or digital workers, leads to different expectations among the stakeholders and eventually impacts the adoption of RPA in an organization. So in today's session, what we'll focus on is some of the challenges that we found with working with these customers in implementing these automation solutions, and the methods and tools that we bring to the table as Prolifix on the process of how to overcome them. To talk through these challenges and solutions, we have two gentlemen who will be working with me today. Animesh Jain, who is the practice director for our hyper automation practice, and Chris Isayan, who is a senior solution architect and a mortgage industry specialist. So, Chris, let's start with you. What does Prolifix do differently, Chris? And what is the differentiator when we bring in this hyper automation solutions? And how have we used this in some of our customers' locations? So go ahead, Chris.
Hello, and thank you, Raghav. To me, hyperautomation is an exciting topic because of its three pillars and techniques. Number one, like you said, process automation is in the forefront, where you take manually done step and automate with RPA. With this, you augment your capacity and get linear increase in productivity. Now, ready for this? The other two pillars and techniques, which are AI machine learning combined with cloud and process mining, is where you get your exponential productivity. The reason we combine cloud with AI ML is the speed that cloud brings to the table, whether you are going with all coding option or low code, no code option. Cloud gives you speed to market capabilities. Furthermore, with process mining, we are able to define the unknown steps, evaluate cost of each inefficient step, and recommend automation where it matters the most. And Raghav, this ability to measure the realized outcome is what differentiates us from others. Now, because of these three pillars, many of our customers opened up for hyperautomation. For one of our customers in mortgage industry, we created digital worker for post-funding activities, namely in loan delivery area.
Okay.
This intelligent automation was used to package not only documents, but made sure accurate state-specific stacking order for specific loan programs in given investors, which was triggered right on time with 98% accuracy. This has resulted in significant reduction of errors in loan delivery and reduced overall loan production per unit cost. Raghav, yes, this approach ensures increased adoption. Back to you, Raghav.
Great. No, great answer. Great answer. And I mean, it's good to see that this outcome-based solutions and approach helps customers. So, we have at Prolifix, we have created a digital worker family, guys, where we have solutions for over threshold claims reviewing for in the healthcare space. We have Leia, which is an onboarding assistant, or Archie, which is a loan processor. So if you see Lydia, Mark, Nancy on the screen, and there are more, this is a growing family of ours where we have given them specific names because they act as personas, they act as digital workers, and they augment some of the humans who are working and performing these tasks and activities, and give more, where humans will become supervisors of these digital workers as they are progressing in the business process, and then reporting them with the statuses. So we are elevating the capabilities of the humans, elevating them to higher roles, while the digital workers becomes a key part of the teams as the business process performed. So, talking a little bit about outcome-based approach of our capabilities, I would like to bring in Animesh to share some of the process, and how do we take us through the journey of how do we achieve this outcomes-based solutions. So, over to you, Animesh.
Thank you, Raghav. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, based on which time zone you are in. So, from a prolifics perspective, it's a three-step journey that we follow for any digital worker discussion. Step one is to go for a quick short discovery workshop. And in this workshop, we discuss about your use case utilizing our hyperautomation questionnaire. And using that questionnaire, we are able to make a judgment call whether this use case is fit for a hyper-automated bot, or is it something where we feel that the returns will not be high enough that it should be considered as part of, say, wave one. Step two is where we go into a solution definition exercise. This can span from a couple of days to maybe a week or two. The key idea of this second stage is to determine fit. So now, as Aga was showing in one of the earlier slides, that we have a family of digital workers. So now here the key part is that use your use case that we have discovered in your discovery session, and then quantify its impact and the value proposition to the overall value stream of the organization by using another set of questionnaire, which can give us a much more fit criteria. Now, as an example, if we are talking about Leah for onboarding, during this session, we'll take a look that based on your onboarding use case, can Leah work as is, or Leah requires to go for a little bit of customization. Maybe you want to change the forms that you are taking in. Maybe you have a custom form which has some custom data, so you have to update Leah a little bit. Or your process is so unique to your vertical that it will be much better to do a custom development for you. So pretty much during this stage, which is the stage number two in our solution definition workshop, we go through it based on the number of use cases that we have selected as part of our session one, based on the complexity of the use case, and we determine fit in these three different criteria. Now, why is this critical? Because this exercise will get a high confidence score in terms of me telling you that I'm 100% confident that if you take Leah and put in your environment, then I know that she will be able to process this 18 forms, update information into your system in 16 seconds. Now, that is something which is quite extraordinary if you say that you have not even used the environment yet. The bot is not even developed, it's not even tested, but even before that, you are able to come up with such a granular, well-defined outcome. And then as a third step of the process is where we roll out the solution. In a digital worker scenario, it is more of an onboarding of a digital worker into your environment. So the digital worker is onboarded, you start using it, the business team start using it, you start gaining the confidence as well, you start seeing the outcome, and then slowly you roll it up to at an enterprise level.
Okay, great. So, I mean, this is a great approach at where you're quantifying it upfront, which helps people to measure the success and keep us on toes as well. Okay, so let's take a step back, Animesh. Now, organizations usually perform a business value assessment, when they define some, initiatives. And so, what's new here? What are we bringing to the table over and above standard BBAs?
So two major things that has happened that has changed is one is the enterprise maturity, which is the key, and second is the proactive nature of doing things instead of going through an entire couple of months of exercise, trying to ask subjective questions and then getting some feel about it. not able to measure them, but just getting a feel about it. And then accordingly to that feel, create a BDA. Like as what Chris was mentioning about during one of his discussion points, he brought up about process mining. So we utilize process mining in this scenario as well, where we look into the structure and stuff and then give you an exact outcome to say that now if you want to do this, this is the exact outcome that you're going to get. So yes, earlier RPA was more looked as a standalone engagement. It was pretty much RPA, not a hyper automated bots. It was more people were thinking this to be more tactical stopgap type of a solution, which is only there for cost saving purpose. Then it went through a maturity cycle. Then it became more profound in terms of saying that, hey, RPA can reduce cost by 80%. But then using the methodology that we have developed, we are able to quantify the outcome at a very granular level. So in our example of Leah or say Mark, who is our um, digital worker for journal entry, we can very easily say that Mark can process 90 journal entries by interacting with your SAP system in 48 seconds. So the key is the methodology and the maturity on how things have progressed in last couple of years.
Okay, great. So tell us something about how do we go about, developing these different digital workers for specific domains. What's goes behind it?
Sure. So we typically follow a Lego-based approach. Think these digital workers to be like any other human as well, pretty much a clone. So for each skill, we create what we call as template bots. And then for those template bots, we put the domain knowledge on top of it. So we sprinkle the domain knowledge. And then finally, we bring up the skills together, which results in your fully functional bot. Now, just for me to explain it a bit granular, take an example about you trying to hire a new employee. Some of the questions you will ask from that employee is, hey, do you know how to access Microsoft Office? Do you know how to add or update or do some more interesting work on a PDF? Similar like bot as well, you have the scenarios where we have bots which are technical templates where it knows how to read PDF. Now, if I know how to read PDF, it takes a little bit of a very small amount of training for me to tell that, okay, now since you know how to read PDF, you know how to open PDF, can you read a PDF which is of type W4? So now you are training me to learn a document, extract data, understand the nuances of the PDF. Some PDF can be secured, unsecured, etc. So now you're building based on those generic skills. So what we do in Prolifix is that we have created our inventory of all different technical skills. And using those technical skills, we combine them with the knowledge of your use case, which is our customer's use case when we are doing our discovery session. And then we group them together, pretty much stack them together in a Lego fashion. And then that's how our bots are created. And then you can roll it out very, very quickly. Now, each of the individual bots which are built, they are also like Lego blocks. So Leah is a Lego block. Mark is also a Lego block. So let's take example about you are using Leah to onboard a new employee. And then as you are onboarding a new employee, Leah realizes that, hey, for the type of job role this employee belongs to, I should also issue him a laptop. So fine, a requisition is made for a laptop, but that should also become an expense entry into your journals. So now Leah can then work with Mark and tell to Mark that, hey, Mark, I am raising this request. Can you take this request and post a journal entry against the expense ledger? And Mark take it and then post the entry into your journal ledger as well. So pretty much both of them can tango together very, very easily, just because that from a concept perspective, they're all built as Lego blocks. Now, using this, you can use these bots to improve a couple of steps in your business process, or you can improve the entire business process itself. It's just based on your use case, how big your use case is, but the building blocks are all there. Just take them up, put them together, and here you go.
Okay, no, this is great. So it looks like you have common ingredients to start with, and then it's almost like recipes. We all have been cooking a lot in the lockdown phase, so it's, and food is close to me. So I like food. So it looks like recipes where we start with a common base ingredients, generic things, then you add specific ones that you want to do it for a particular domain in this case, or a particular taste, and then you add specific spices to it to make it Italian versus Moroccan dish, or maybe an Indian dish. So it soon gives you
Absolutely.
that kind of an analogy, and so it's great. It's great that we are able to use and reuse different template based concepts. So how do you see now there are different
Mhm.
vendors for RPA, the different product sets, different companies who provide RPA platforms. Do you see a scenario where in an organization there are multiple RPAs that products that are used, maybe because different line of business have invested at different points of time into different technologies, and how does that play in? Because that's also one of the things that you want to kind of advocate or advise customers on how to manage these disparate different technologies.
So that's a growing situation with more and more of our customers where they have multiple different RPA products. So each of these RPA products, they have a core set of functionalities with a set of niche skills and then a common set of functionalities. Okay, their niche skills are the one that differentiates between each other and again based on how you want to use them. So we have implemented RPA for our customers where we have utilized Automation Anywhere, a very well-known RPA platform, on a dedicated server for unattended bots. This customer also had requirement where they wanted more like digital assistants to work on persons' workstations. So for those, we used Win Automation to create bots which will run on users' desktops in an attended mode so that they can fire them up as and when they want, get the work done, and then finally put them back to sleep. So again, these were bots in essence that depending upon your use case, depending upon where you want to deploy, the frequency of execution, etc., using different products make much more sense. There also an inherent part about the pricing structure of this product as well. Some of the products are more integrated, so they have a higher pricing structure. Some are more isolated, so they give you a different pricing flexibility. So both these feature combined based on your niche skills and your pricing structure that you need, it is making much more sense to use different type of RPA products in different type of scenarios that you have. Now that's the good part. But then it also brings a problem area is how do you monitor these bots, right? You don't want your employees to just run on their own and then it becomes a situation where nobody knows what they were doing or what is happening. So to monitor that scenario is where we have used what we call as a Prolifix Automation Insights platform. So our platform is built on open source technologies, and we have connectors to all different RPA platforms like Automation Anywhere, UiPath, WDG, Win Automation, etc. Now, our platform is more tuned towards taking a look at a business level and not at an IT level. So it looks at all the bots and it tells you that you have 5 bots which are automation anywhere, you have 3 bots on Win Automation. These were the run times, these are the failure rate, etc. So you get like one single snapshot of your RPA inventory all across the organization, and you can manage them easily.
Right. So I would like to bring Chris back in. So Chris, what are your thoughts with after you listen, our approaches, and what have you seen at the customer side? How have any comments here further?
Sure, sure. Thank you, Raghav and Animesh. Very well explained, by the way, Animesh. Um, so I want to reiterate the three techniques I mentioned earlier, and I think Animesh did a great job in going into details, combining them, orchestrating them. So remember, our goal is not just take a known existing manual step and automate them. In fact, we bring our industry and knowledge, then apply our process mining tool to discover the client's specific processes. And the key word here is the client specific processes. Our process mining tool also highlights the lengthy and inefficient steps, which helps us to focus the areas where the hyperautomation is most impactful. So once we agree with the desired outcome, we apply AI cognitive machine learning with process automation to give the customer the exponential productivity they desire. And yes, with this approach, at times we introduce new features without modifying the existing application source code. and at the same time, digitally transfer manually error-prone processes to accurate and repeatable results. Back to you, Vago.
Great. So one point that comes to my mind, Chris, you mentioned about AI cognitive, right? So are there any examples you're talking about that you can give on how AI and ML helps in process automation?
Sure. I want to go back to the example that I talked about at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, loan origination is a highly complex process, but equally complex process awaits after the loan is funded. Most people just talk about the origination, but they don't really realize what are all the activities that happen after the loan is funded. This is where the servicing department onboards the loan for PITI collection, capital markets assigns, sells the loan, then you have the delivery department prepares the package for the loan delivery to the investor, and so on and so forth. If you take any organization, all departments individually know exactly what they're doing, but it is very hard to find people in these organizations who understand their company specific post funding activities combined. Now, we know the organization's objective is to deliver this loan as soon as possible to investors without issues so they can recover the dollars used to fund this loan. This is where our process mining tool comes into the picture. We apply process mining to understand which is the most time consuming step in this process. Is it because the capital markets department is taking too long to assign this loan to an investor or sell it to the investor? Is it because the loan packaging is missing documents? Is it because the accuracy between the printed data versus the data that's in the system, and so on and so forth? In our example, when we applied process mining and AI, we found out that document packaging was the most time-consuming process. So accordingly, we introduced AI cognitive machine learning to automate this specific step, hence improving duration of the loan delivery by 80%. Hope this answers the question, and feel free, to ask
Sure.
for more details. Sure.
No, I think this was great. This was great. So, by the way, I see another question that has come up on the chat. And maybe Animesh, you can handle it. Is does a digital worker like Leia only be used for employee onboarding?
Okay, so Leah is for onboarding. So she knows how to look into your systems, web applications precisely, to create profiles. She knows how to understand documents. She knows how to read from Excel, etc. So now from Leah perspective, you can use it for employee onboarding, you can use it for customer onboarding, you can use it for student onboarding, any type of an onboarding she supports. In one of our scenarios, we have used Leah for onboarding students into a school, while in other one we are using Leah right now for contact tracing as well, where she will be used to create profiles and do a contact tracing for COVID. So how we want to use Leah in terms of onboarding type is on us, but there are a variety of different use cases where she is making it in.
Okay, great. Thanks, Animesh. Another question that somebody else asked for me earlier, like how long does it take to prepare a soft RPA environment? Can you give an idea about what does the information look like?
Sure. So yeah. So first thing is software selection. Okay, so Prolifix works with their customers to understand their business domain and then accordingly position the right software RP as well. Now there are big names in the market as well. There are some niche ones as well. So it depends upon your variety of use cases and how are you thinking it. How should it get aligned with your enterprise roadmap perspective? So once you have selected the software, the next thing starts happening is where do you want this bot to run? If you want this to be on vendor's cloud, pretty much it's a couple of hours of work and your environment is up and running. If you want it to be in-house into your dedicated server or into your say private cloud, then in a couple of days you can set up the environment, make it all up and running, and then start deploying the bots there.
Okay, great. And another area, of questions are like if you have you mentioned that we use a template based approach where we have a bot can understand PDF and then we make it learn W4 or other type of forms or anything else. How do you do that?
So each of our bots, like the one that we are talking about, document management bot. So our document management bot internally also has AI capability built in, which is used to understand different type of documents. So it learns as well. So you kind of train them initially to say, this is how the PDF is, which they have already learned. Now you train them a little bit more to say, in this specific type of PDF, you have to understand these type of data structures. And again, since there's an AI engine built in, Leah, I'm taking example of Leah right now. Leah keeps on learning different variety of documents. She understands how to consume data, how to look into those documents, what type of information to capture, and then how to pass it along in terms of the next steps of the processing to take it further from the processing side.
Okay, so kind of what Chris was talking about, applying AI and machine learning for various different needs, either to enhance capabilities of the bot itself, or applying those across the process for enhancing the process capability itself, right? So
Absolutely. So every automation that is happening now from a mandate perspective, there has to be intelligence built in. It has to be intelligent automation. And that is where our hyper automated bots scale up because each of them come in a basic flavor as well as an intelligent flavor. So our customers have the choice to use which one they want to start with and then how they want to include the intelligent part into it. Maybe they already have an AI engine, so they want to do just a plug and play with their existing AI engine, or maybe use the one which is coming inbuilt in the bot itself. But that's the key. Automation has to be intelligent in the current time period.
great, great. So, audience, are there any other questions that you guys want to ask, or areas that you want to have more queries? Please feel free to put it on chat so that we can cover. We have a few minutes left. So Ramesh, how long have the organization have been using these platforms, and what do you see as going forward? Future would look like.
So, and I'm guessing, Raghav, you're referring about the pure RPA platform and not the hyper automated integrated platforms, which is like Insights and sure. So RPA, people have been using it for many years now. Initially, it was more of a testing based scenarios where people started using those tools and then they matured into more business friendly tools in the current state what they are. What I believe from a journey perspective, the next level of engagement of RPA is to play more strategic role. A lot of time people were thinking RPA to be technical or tactical components, just doing a stopgap and then finally getting replaced with the bigger products. But I believe that in future, as we are going through it, it will be a more strategic role to play from an RPA perspective because if you can do some integration or some automation in a fraction of a cost and time, why do you still want the bigger boys to be in there and then do it unless you have a bigger use case? So that's how I see from a maturity, and each bot definitely AI based.
Perfect. Yeah. So as you see, audience, we we have heard that organizations across the different industries need to improve efficiencies on their processes, and digital worker built on RPA technologies have the ability to accelerate those processes and have better returns. The business always want to move swiftly while ensuring accuracy and handling of any unique situations. And that's our approach, Product's approach of workshop, understanding what you want to achieve, what outcome you create some metrics that you can measure, and then we go forward executing the solutions. So at Prolifix, we are always looking to help our customers in these, especially in these challenging times, that especially 2020. And we are proud to bring solutions like Archie, Leah, to help companies to improve efficiencies and business processes. So we are at the bottom of our hour. So we'd like to close. If you are interested in learning about digital worker or any other solution that we bring to the table, please reach out to us at solutions@prolifix.com or visit us as www.prolifix.com. So thank you for attending, and please stay safe.